After 25 years of a lot of pain, a lot of heartache, your New York Knicks are moving back on to the Eastern Conference Finals, and we're going to talk about it.
You are Locked On Knicks, your daily New York Knicks podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Hey, what's up, guys? I'm Gavin Shaw, your Saturday host of the Locked On NBA podcast, a longtime credentialed media member who's been covering the New York Knicks for 8 years. He is Alex Wolf, editor-in-chief of The Strickland, the greatest Knicks website in the whole wide world. You can check them out, and you really want to right now, on all forms of social media over at thestrict.land. This is Locked On Knicks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day, your daily podcast on the New York Knicks, giving you the most detailed insight on your favorite team. 5, just kidding, really more like 10 days a week. And be sure to join thousands of other Knicks fans in subscribing on both YouTube and your favorite podcast platform for the best insight on your favorite team every single day. Alex, on today's show, I'm a little emotional here after 8 years of not a lot of good basketball for the first 4. I didn't believe they could do it. I'm sure a lot of people were in that same boat as me. The New York Knicks beat the Boston Celtics 4-2, take game 6 in dominant fashion, 119-81. They end the Celtics season. We're going to talk about the electric start of this game, the energy the Knicks brought. What I'm going to say was a transformative effort from Karl-Anthony Towns, game-changing play from Deuce McBride and Mitchell Robinson off the bench, and a lot of good things from a lot of other guys. We're getting into that in just a sec. But first, I want to remind everyone that this episode is brought to you by Monarch Money. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKEDONNBA at monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. Alex, I ask you this question about 3 to 5 times a week, and this is the time I maybe least know your answer because there's so many great places to. Where do you want to start?
All right. I'm gonna start. I'm gonna throw a total curveball at you. Let's start. Name 5 random weird Knicks. First ones that come to your head over the last 25 years. Name 5.
God. All right, Michael
I'll start.
Sweeney. Yeah, sure.
Okay, you got one. Okay, we'll go back and forth. Marty Collins.
Man, this is dark, but Andrea Bargnani is who I think of next.
All right, Ronaldo Balkman.
Frank Ntilikina.
Okay. Kurt Thomas. Old man Kurt Thomas, though.
Wow.
I'm specifically calling old man Thomas.
Not original recipe. Yeah.
Yeah. It's your turn, though. You got a couple more.
Oh, my God.
There's so many.
We're doing 5 each.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. Let's go.
Eddie Curry.
Okay. Cole Aldrich.
Oh, that's a great one. Alonzo Trier.
Emmanuel Mudiay.
This is incredible. Kyle O'Quinn.
Okay, I'll do one more. I'll end on let's see. I'll end on a somewhat high note. J.R. Smith. Okay.
Oh, sure. I thought you were going to do Tracy McGrady for the throwback.
Yeah. Oh, Tracy McGrady would have been a great one. Damn, I'm an idiot. All right, well, I redact that. Tracy McGrady. Sure. Anyway, yeah, it's been a long 25 years, right? So where I want to start is just the feel of it, right? Like I started another episode when they went up 2-0, being all like, man, this is crazy that this isn't normally what Knicks fans get to experience. And like their whole entire generations, like most millennials and many, like anyone of any of the generations that came after millennials have not experienced the Knicks in the Eastern Conference Finals, or at least like perceived it as an adult or like as someone with fully formed thoughts and whatever. So you'll excuse me if I'm not quite sure how to process this just yet, but like it's like I don't know, it's crazy. I mean, the fact that they came out and played, I'm not gonna lie to you, I was like kind of worried going into this game. After how the last game went, it was like, God, are the Knicks like underestimating these guys? Like, are they not taking this seriously now that Tatum got hurt or whatever, or are they just going to get out coached and outplayed? Like, because Boston was still very talented, even with no Jason Tatum. Like, that's still a team that can and has beaten up on the Knicks before, and beaten up on other teams around the league. So, like, with championship DNA, knows what, whatever. Like, hats off to them, everyone except maybe Jalen Brown, who followed up his nether pinching with elbowing OG Anunoby in the face and somehow getting away with not getting a flagrant foul for it today. But, kudos to them. They played a good series, whatever. But, I mean, for the Knicks to come out and put together this effort, it was just like the antithesis of what they did 2 days ago. It was like 2 days ago, it was like lazy rotations, didn't seem to have a real plan for the defense, didn't seem to have a real plan for the offense. Like, just nothing was working the other day. And in this game, literally everything worked, and it all worked to perfection. Like, the defense right from the start was playing super aggressive, but not stupidly, like staying on top of guys, like sticking with their assignments, getting hands in passing lanes. The man-to-man defense, and then the defense on switches was just like insanely good. The way that Cat was like kind of playing drop at times on Luke Cornett and like stifling that, where they would kind of allow that deep pass in to Luke Cornett because Cat would show a little bit, and then they would just like hustle down and just wall him off under the baseline. And really, so much of what the Knicks did in this game, like, I feel like was based around the baseline, because that's how they took Luke Cornett out of the game on both sides of the ball, which I thought was really brilliant. Like, trapping him on the baseline when he's on offense, and then on defense, when Boston was on defense, using reverses, getting under the basket where Luke Cornett couldn't then block them in space around the hoop. Like, I thought that it took him out of the game like so quickly. And it seems crazy to be spending this big of a portion of the first segment talking about Luke Cornett, but like, he was the guy that swung the game the other day, in my opinion. Like, he was the guy that just completely stifled anything the Knicks tried to do on offense and just murdered them on the offensive glass. They did like everything to basically remove him from the equation within like minutes of this game, which I thought was brilliant. And then just the offense was free flowing. It was inside out. They were kicking out for threes. Like, Cat was just phenomenal. Like, other than a couple, he maybe tried a little too hard to get himself going in the first few minutes, but then settled in and just was playing brilliant. Like, ball from being on the perimeter, and then, showing with a pump fake, whatever, getting inside, finishing through contact, not getting foul calls for most of the game. And then finally, things came around in like the second half, and he was able to finally get those and one calls and foul calls, and just a phenomenal game for him. And then, of course, like Jalen Brunson, 23 points, like hit some really, really like Steph Curry night kind of shots in the third quarter, where like Boston was pretending like maybe there was a comeback that could possibly happen, and Brunson just kind of came down, like hit shots in people's eyes, like fouled Jaylen Brown out of the game in the third quarter.
That was amazing. That was very satisfying. Yeah.
Just crazy stuff. I mean, especially after what happened to Brunson the other day, for him to then go in and just be like, well, I could foul someone out of a game too. Just amazing stuff. I don't know. I'll throw it to you. Sorry, I covered a lot in that first bit, but it was such a satisfying game. There's literally nothing we could talk about this game that I would be like, oh, that was really bad for anything prolonged more than like a possession or two.
Yeah, look, I've spent a lot of this year, as people have noted in the comments, a lot of the last 5 years at times ripping into Tom Thibodeau. And I last podcast, I was sort of mocking the idea, like, all right, all these guys talk about is like, he has us more prepared to play than anyone else. And I thought in game 5, they were utterly unprepared to play the Boston Celtics. And this was to your point, the total opposite of that. And I have to give Tom Thibodeau his flowers, just because I've gotten harder on him than anyone else. I've argued for him to be fired a bunch of times. This team was completely and utterly prepared for this basketball game. And I thought there was one possession that completely summed up the difference in preparation, the difference in effort, the difference of intensity. And even before I get to that, I have to say, like, and you noted it, but like the focus and the energy from the first second of this game, emanating from the crowd, emanating from Josh Hart, from Mikal Bridges. I mean, the Knicks forced 3 turnovers in the first 2 minutes of this one, and they were a little jumpy, right? Like, OG couldn't make a 3. They missed a bunch of opportunities to go up really big just in the first 5 minutes or so. But the amount of juice and focus and IQ they showed was just remarkable. And we have not seen, like, we talked about a theoretical ceiling of this team, and it was resigned to a half against the Thunder. Like, that was it. That was really the only time we saw it all year. There were flashes against the Nuggets, flashes against the Grizzlies. Like, after we got a half of it in game 4, we got a full game of it tonight. And the one play that put that all together was the Celtics getting out in transition, 10-16 left in the second quarter, and it was defined by Mitchell Robinson, who races to the corner with Deuce to ensure Peyton Pritchard, right? This was the biggest issue in game 4. This has been one of the biggest issues for the Knicks all season. Go back to that second game against the Pistons where Malik Beasley was lighting them up. The inability to recognize who to prioritize to stop in transition, right? That is game plan. That is basketball IQ. That is effort. And this time, 5-alarm fire. Pritchard in the corner. Deuce and Mitch both close there. Then it's Derek White open on the wing. Josh Hart races over. Unlike usual, he doesn't fly by. Shuffles his feet. He stops. White has to swing it to Horford. Horford swings it to Brown. Brown tries to attack Mitch and Cat. Mitch slides his feet and then somehow gets back to the corner. Or excuse me, it wasn't Brown. I got to watch the playback. It wasn't Brown who drove. It was a different. It might have been. I think it was Drew Holiday who drove from the left wing. He swings it to Brown in the corner. Mitch somehow, this is the third guy he's defending in about 6 or 7 seconds, gets to the corner, shuts down Brown, doesn't fly by him at 7 feet tall, sticks right with the Celtics superstar and strips him. And this is a guy who has bled for this team, right? Like multiple major surgeries, worked behind the scenes. His reward for all of it was idiots like us talking about trading him. And that play, his effort in the first half, I mean, it tells you everything you need to know about the quiet work he did behind the scenes to go from an athletic specimen to, at least on the defensive end of the floor, a marvel of a basketball player. And to me, that summed up everything about this one.
Yeah, and it's crazy considering that like he played 13 minutes in this game, right? Like
it was. I tweeted it out. Sorry to interrupt you. It was the best 1.4 rebound game I have ever seen, and I would imagine one of the best in NBA history.
Exactly, and honestly, the only reason that he didn't need to do more of that in the second half is that the team jumped out to a 40-point lead. Like that's it. That's the only reason that they didn't need more out of him. But he was. I agree. He was huge. That play stuck in my mind too. Like when I was thinking about this game, I was like, man, that was it, dude. Like Mitch getting over there, like such a statement that like your 7-footer who's been criticized for not being mobile enough, who's been criticized for being overweight at times, like not putting enough. I've certainly seen people be like, is he prioritizing the right things in his work? Like whatever, like what's he doing to do that on that stage? And when the team needed it, just crazy good stuff. But yeah, there's still plenty more to talk about. We have to obviously talk about a little more in depth what Karl-Anthony Towns did, what OG Anunoby did. He had a fantastic game. Mikal Bridges coming up huge, 60% shooting in 30 minutes in this game. Jalen Brunson, 23 points. Again, some really clutch buckets. Deuce McBride with another play that I would say was another one of the ones that stood out in my head. So maybe I'll lead the next segment with that. Talking about that in just a sec, but we got plenty more to talk about in just a moment here on Locked On Knicks. But first, we wanted to let you know about our friends over at DoorDash. And NBA fans, you know what time it is. Playoff season means big performances and even bigger rewards. DoorDash is bringing the heat with a slam dunk deal for Dash Pass members during the 2025 NBA playoffs. It's called They Swoosh, You Score. Anytime a player drops 50 or more points in a playoff game, Dash Pass members score a free 3-piece crispy tenders combo from Wingstop the very next day. Just place an order of $20 or more. Use the code WINGSTOP50 at checkout, and that combo is yours. Crispy, delicious, and totally free. Offer valid noon to midnight the day after the game. Terms apply. And, hey, there's been, the Knicks haven't had a 50-point scorer during the playoffs yet. But if they do, be pretty sweet the next day to get to have some Wingstop wings afterwards. There's no better way to celebrate than a little Wingstop. So here's the play. Sign up for Dash Pass to unlock this and more exclusive deals all season long. When any player scores 50-plus points in a playoff game, Dash Pass members can grab a free 3-piece crispy tenders combo from Wingstop the next day with a $20-plus order and code WINGSTOP50. That's Dash Pass, your door to more savings, more flavor, and more ways to win. Terms apply. All right, Gavin, we're back in to keep talking through this series clinching win for the Knicks. Game 6, Knicks in 6, 119-81. They beat the Boston Celtics. Here, I'll just highlight the Deuce play real quick. So it was Jalen Brown that was out in transition. Correct?
Yes.
Jalen Brown, just the victim of all victims in this game, and I couldn't be happier about it. He gets out in transition, Jalen Brunson sticks with him, which props to Jalen Brunson for at least providing enough of an effort to slow him down. Brown gets inside, looks like he's ready to, just get a layup and, maybe keep chopping for the Celtics, try to get into the Knicks lead. And then Deuce McBride out of nowhere, like he's Randy Orton delivering an RKO, just Deuce McBride, bam, chase down block out of nowhere, finishes the block with like not even half an inch between the ball and the backboard at the time of the block. Just a gorgeous, gorgeous block. It turns into a transition play, ends up in Josh Hart points on the other end. Deuce McBride, another one of those guys where, granted, he did play 32 minutes in this game. So I was going to say, not as big of a minute load, but actually he played more minutes than Mikal Bridges in this game.
Yeah.
So
whole fourth quarter, I think. Shout out to Tom Thibodeau, but
yeah, can't really. Yeah, he did get to sit finally with like 2 minutes left in the fourth, which is crazy. But either way, the box score lies a little bit about all that Deuce contributed in this game because it's 10 points, 2 boards, an assist to steal a block. He did, I feel, so much more in this one. Just doing a good job. Like there was shades of foul trouble for Mikal and for Josh Hart in this game, and he stepped up and just played phenomenal defense during those stretches, made those super high energy plays like that block consistently throughout the game. His steal actually was hilarious. It came late in the game and it was just like a straight pickpocket. And then he was going down the floor and then kind of realized like, oh, wait, I might be getting subbed out here, but if I go up and I get fouled, I can't get subbed out. So
also don't get hurt is what I was thinking. And I'm glad
that too.
I think you realized that. Yeah.
That's probably it too. But yeah, dribbles it back out, kicks it to, I think it was just Shamit for like a 3 real quick. But just a phenomenal effort from Deuce. I mean, it's crazy to highlight Deuce before any of the starters who I think had crazy good games too. But that one play was the other one other than the Mitch play that just kind of stood out in my head of like, that was one of the ones I was going to remember. I'm sure it's one that a lot of people are going to remember from this game.
I mean, it's if the Knicks make the finals this year, I don't even want to say the words, but if they do the other thing, the next step from that, that'll be on the highlight reel forever, and maybe will anyways. It is immediately an iconic Knicks play. And like, if that was all he did, that would be great. Like he did a lot. He like first big play of the game, offensive rebound where like he just like sprinted across the lane, and the Knicks were just demons on the glass on both ends. Like we'll talk about it more when we get there, but this was Cat's best rebounding game of the playoffs. Josh Hart had 11, 3 offensively. Mikal, 3 of his 4 rebounds offensive, like two for putbacks. OG had 9 rebounds in this game. He was someone you were hoping would step up. And that 1 rebound by Deuce stuck in my mind because it was like compounding efforts. And you got to the end of the first quarter and the Knicks were up and you were thinking like, all right, they should be up by more. And they had that run at the end of the first. They continued into the second, 7-0 burst to start the second. By the time Jalen Brunson checks back into this game and it's 38-24 and you have a 14-point lead in an elimination game against the Boston Celtics, Jalen had 3 points on 3 shots. It was everyone else. And it was Deuce. Like they had a possession where like this was just bailout, a bad offense, right? Late shot clock, nothing going. He hits a 3 with Derek White in his jersey, literally like rising up with Derek White, like at like belly button height for him. It's just a crazy shot. Hit another one, turnaround banker baseline, falling down, just crazy shot making. Makes another hustle play after the block where OG misses the transition layup and Deuce is the only one who tried to provide some insurance, runs the floor, ends up getting a dunk. 17 minutes in the first half, 10 points, 2 rebounds, 2 stocks, and caps it off with the buzzer beater before the half to extend the lead to 27. Like it is hard to emphasize how much better he was in this series than he was in the Pistons series. Like clearly most improved guy on the team. And even in a series, they end up winning 6 games. They needed every single second of it from him. So shout out to Deuce. Alex, you want to hit Cat real quick before we wrap up the second segment?
Sure. I won't hit him too hard. He's got to stay healthy for the ECF here. But yeah, 21 points, 12 boards for Cat, 8 of 20 shooting overall, only 1 of 6 from 3, but like getting those attempts up, very important. It felt like it was something that the Knicks prioritized, like getting Cat the ball on the perimeter. I think he established the threat of him shooting early enough that then the Celtics had to kind of readjust their thinking and go, oh, I think this guy is going to try to shoot threes if he gets the ball on the perimeter, which shouldn't be a thing that the Knicks should have to establish at this point in the season. And yet they did. They worked on it early. And also got Cat going on the inside, like right from the start. It seemed pretty obvious to me that like the game plan that came down from Tibbs or whoever was get Cat going, get OG going. Those are going to be like the two keys. And those two guys, like, I feel like got a lot of attention like early in terms of like how much they were touching the ball. I mean, just in the first quarter, Cat ended up with 11 points, OG only 2, but he kind of would pick things up later, but he did get up 4 3-point attempts early. Mikal Bridges was also like huge in the first quarter with 10 points. So I think there was like a big emphasis on getting those not named Jalen Brunson going early in this game, so that then hopefully that could establish a lead and then carry them through to the end of the game, which it certainly did, because then Brunson was able to just kind of step in the third quarter, put, the foot on the throat and call it a day and be done with things. So Cat, though, huge big time takes. I mean, I was really worried. I really thought that the whistle was going to be crap again for him. I mean, in the first quarter, he ended up on the floor on like 3/4 of the shots that he took, including like his first one. He makes this like crazy circus shot for his first make of the game, gets inside, gets it off glass, clearly tons of contact. And you're like, all right, I guess it's going to be one of those nights for him again. But luckily he did eventually get a whole 4 free throw attempts in this game. I think 2 of them were on N1s, if I'm not mistaken. But yeah, just a great effort from him. Alpha mentality from him, which I think was what was needed, and just an attack mindset, getting inside, kind of like helping play Cornette off the floor to a degree by, with the blow-bys and everything, which again, I feel like there was a big focus on let's get Luke Cornette out of this game so that he can't potentially affect things like he did in the last game, where just his interior defense and offensive rebounding like completely tilted that game for the Celtics. Cat was a big part of making sure that wasn't able to happen again. Thought it was a fantastic game for him.
Yeah, I'm in total agreement. I have a lot more thoughts on that. I want to talk a lot about Mikal Bridges, because I thought the start he got the Knicks off to in this game was exceptional, and it was yet another game in this series that was proof of concept for him, proof of concept for OG Anunoby defensively, and then maybe we wrap up with what the Villanova boys, Jalen Brunson and Josh Hart, did. To me, at least, bringing back some fond memories of last season's team, and it kind of cool to a year later get another shot at the Indiana Pacers. Maybe we touch on that for just a second. All coming up next here on Locked On Knicks. But first, we want to tell you about our good friends over at Monarch Money. Ever check your bank account and wonder, where did all my money go? Between dining out, online shopping, and entertainment, it's incredibly easy to lose track. That's where Monarch Money comes in, your personal CFO, giving you full visibility and control over your finances. Monarch Money isn't just a budgeting app. It's a complete financial command center. You can track all your accounts, investments, and spending in one place. So you stop just managing your money and you start building wealth. They offer surprising insights. When I started using Monarch, I realized just how much I was spending on food delivery. It was too much. Now I budget smarter and I save more. They offer all-in-one convenience instead of juggling multiple apps. This is my favorite part. You can use Monarch to check your finances, track spending, and even plan long-term goals all in one place. And they offer easy collaboration. Managing money with your partner is smoother than ever. It's a big asset for me and my girlfriend. So you can track shared and personal accounts, set goals, and stay on the same page without all the stress. Take control of your finances with Monarch Money. Use code LOCKDOWNNBA, monarchmoney.com for 50% off your first year. That's monarchmoney.com, code LOCKDOWNNBA for half off your first year.
And we want to let you know about our friends over at Hungryroot. Everyone in my house always has something going on. I call this busy season. It's certainly no busier than Knicks in the playoff season. That is for sure. I don't have a lot of time to go grocery shopping or to cook healthy meals at home. That's why I use Hungryroot. Hungryroot is like having your own personal shopper and nutritionist wrapped into one. They take care of grocery shopping and meal planning, offering personalized recommendations based on your tastes and health goals. And I just love how Hungryroot tailors my orders based on what I liked or didn't love. It gets smarter every time, and the meals come together in 15 minutes or less, giving you more time for workouts, family, hobbies, Knicks basketball, whatever it is that you need time for. Hungryroot helps you make sure you have that time for the other things in your life other than just cooking. And take advantage of this exclusive deal. Get 40% off your first box plus a free item in every box for life. Go to hungryroot.com/LockedOnNBA and use code LockedOnNBA. That's hungryroot.com/LockedOnNBA. Code LockedOnNBA for 40% off and a lifetime free item. All right, we're back in to get through the all the rest of the great things from this 119-81 series clinching win for the Knicks over the Boston Celtics. Still feels weird to say. Gavin, I will just throw it right to you as the at times biggest Mikal Bridges lover and at times biggest Mikal Bridges hater this season. I will hand you the floor to discuss his Game 6 effort.
Yeah, I mean, just the way and look, he started Game 5 great, and he couldn't keep it up. This game, he outside of foul trouble, he kept it up, right? Like very first play of the game, slides his feet with Drew Holiday, forces a tough shot. We talked all season long. Mikal Bridges getting to the rim, that is going to be a barometer for the Knicks' offensive success. I would say against great teams, but that was almost non-existent in the regular season. And this series, like not every game, but like you look across the playoff spectrum and you have to take this into account. And I'm sometimes guilty of not doing it. Like these are tough series where you're playing great defenses, game planning for everything you do well. You're going to have some bad games. Mikal had more than enough good ones for the Knicks to take it. Like hard attack, lefty reverse, again, goes at Kornet, like right at him. And to your point, uses the backboard as a shield, which is something he struggled with, getting blocked a lot in this series. Then a transition putback. Then OG gets a swat on Jalen Brown. Mikal hits a 3 in transition. That's 7 of the Knicks' first 11 points for people keeping track at home. Hits another one off a Jalen Brunson driving kick to cap off an 8-0 run after Boston had tied it early. And as much as this game is ever teetering, that was sort of the point where it was teetering, where it felt like the Knicks had completely outplayed Boston, and yet it was 16-16. You were like, all right, are they going to start making shots? And that's one thing we haven't noted yet. Boston never really started making shots in this one. Maybe my favorite play of the night from him, where he missed it, like right around the rim, and Pogo sticked it right back up for a bank in, like 6 offensive boards for the Knicks in the first 13 and a half minutes of this game. That put them up by 11 early. The defense was really solid, like had that strip on Jalen Brown in the third quarter that the Knicks had to challenge, but ultimately was off Brown. Like, I just thought pretty much like every decision he made in this game was on point. The shooting was great. He took nothing off the table. And we've said it a couple times this series, but it's worth saying one more time. This was exactly the kind of game why you traded for him. I won't go too deep. Maybe I'll go a little deeper on a bonus pod tomorrow, but I just wanted to hit Cat real quick before we totally moved on from him. The defense, there were a couple of mistakes, couple of dumb pull your hair out moments, and yet this was the high end of the Cat playoff experience where, Alex, if I'm being real honest with you, real honest with everyone watching, I've had my moments this postseason where I watched Julius Randle and how incredibly good, shout out to him, he's been in Minnesota, and it was like the Squidward meme, and I'm like, all right, I'm left with Cat here, who has like these brilliant bouts of shot making, but it feels like even when Cat is clicking, it is not really in sync with the rest of the team, and that maybe is less of a Cat issue and more of a Josh Hart issue and a Tom Thibodeau issue, but all the same, it is still frustrating to watch when you get this guy who had such incredible highs during the regular season and in the most important moments against maybe the best team the Knicks are going to play all playoffs, even if they make it to the finals. Like, for him to be so limited was incredibly frustrating. And what defined this Cat game to me was that, like, all the same circumstances were there. Like you said, his very first play of the game was going at Horford and Kornet, right? Like, still 2 bigs around the rim, and Cat just stopped giving an F, right? He stopped caring about it. And he said, I'm just going to do my thing. And that resulted in just this electric performance on the glass. Defensively, like forcing that turnover on Kornet, pressuring him along the baseline, sliding his feet with Jalen Brown to force an air ball, sliding his feet with Drew Holiday to force an air ball, and then these shot clock bailouts, like where he beat Horford, right, and drew a foul on KP. One of my favorite plays of the game, actually some 2-man game between him and Brunson. Haven't seen it all series. Brunson pass fake, then he gets it to him. Cat splits Horford and White, running, driving banker through traffic, plus the foul. That put them up 61-34. Bullies Horford to start the second half. It was just an all-around monster performance. And for a guy who's not come through very much in the series, he came through when it mattered most. And that was epic. Up to you, man. Jalen Brunson, OG Anunoby, who we talking about next?
Yeah, I mean, let's talk about the captain, obviously. I mean, I think Jalen Brunson, he was captain clutch again in this game, but in a slightly different way than we're sometimes accustomed to. Like 7 points in the third quarter. I'm looking to see how many he notched in the fourth before he was eventually taken out.
I will
5
say
in the fourth.
His second quarter run, I think, was clutch because he was the only guy scoring during that stretch.
There was that as well. I mean, just like miniature pockets of clutch in this game for him. Like a nice, pretty evenly distributed scoring effort in the second through fourth quarters, but like 9 points in the second quarter, 7 points in the third, 5 points in the fourth quarter in limited action. I just thought that he gave like everything that was needed in this one. But again, like deferred early, which I think was important. And, I'm already kind of starting to think about a little bit like how the Knicks are going to attack the Pacers now. And I think that having as much of a diversified offense as you can is going to be important. I mean, obviously the main thing is going to be beating them at their own game, or at least nullifying what they want to do in transition and stuff. But like having a more diversified offense where you can make these guys work a little bit and potentially get someone in foul trouble that like they might be trying to hide Halliburton on somebody like Mikal Bridges or something. If you can find ways to get Mikal Bridges going early, you might be able to get someone like a Halliburton in foul trouble. I think that's going to be important. So I thought that was important in terms of what Brunson did early on, which was being more comfortable with deferring, with working off ball a little bit. They were getting the ball into Cat's hands early and often. They weren't waiting until way late in the shot clock to make these things happen. They were focusing on getting other guys going like pretty much right away. OG Anunoby was getting up like just tons of 3-point attempts, like right from the rip. Like I think he had 4 in the first quarter, ends with 13 threes attempted in this game. 6 for Bridges, 3 for Hart, 6 for Towns, 8 for Brunson. Like that's a good distribution. Like I think that you're going to want like Brunson getting some of those pull-up threes. OG hitting, shooting tons of spot ups. Mikal shooting lots of spot ups as well. Like those sort of things are going to be key because you're going to be. This one ended up being kind of a slugfest with Boston, but against the Pacers, it's more likely to be a shootout. So the Knicks need to kind of have all these guys tuned up and ready to work. I think Brunson did a great job there. But then, of course, just the scoring when the Knicks needed it. You mentioned the second quarter run. I'll let you detail that one, but I'll just bring up again. I thought that the sequence to me that was like the Brunson part of the game for me was getting Jalen Brown, who the Celtics decided like Jalen Brown probably stepped up in some team meeting and was like, I'll take Brunson next game. Like, I got this, guys. And then they were like, had him defending him pretty much the entire game. And Brunson just said, oh, is that the case? Okay, well, we'll see how that goes. And just consistently took him off the dribble in that third quarter. It just like went right at him for like 3-4 plays in a row and got him in foul trouble, got him up to 5 fouls with like 5 minutes left in the third. And I don't totally blame Joe Mazzulla for leaving him in because I feel like, he probably realized like, well, we're down 30 and like probably the only way we're going to come back is if I leave Jalen Brown in the game and he manages to not foul again. But then like I don't even think it was 2 minutes later, Brunson gets his 6th foul on him. It's bye-bye to Jalen Brown. And that's it. So yeah, I love that. That was my favorite moment. Probably just because it was more spiteful rather than skillful. But it was great watching Jalen Brown, after all the antics he pulled over the last couple games, have to just sit on the bench and watch his team get shellacked for another quarter and a half without him on the floor. So that was cool.
Yeah, you nailed it. I thought just I'll make a morbid analogy, but when like people kill like a bug under like a microscope and you're focusing the light right through, like that was this game from Jalen Brunson, right? Very, very thin beam, but like clinical killing dark, I know, efficiency from him. That second quarter, it was the most interesting schematic tactical battle in this game was Brunson trying to get Cornette and even more so Horford into the action. And the Celtics, like, because they've gotten a lot of practice against it now, and they're a very smart team to begin with, and have 2 of the best defensive guards in basketball, doing a great job, like keeping the bigs out. And that really like put a wrench in the gears for the Knicks until they went 5 out, which we're not even going to get to hit on in this episode, but hopefully tomorrow I could talk about early in the second quarter. And like the floodgates kind of opened up from there. But then even with those gears mucked up, right, when you had Josh Hart back in the game midway through the second quarter, Brunson's ability to like wait for the right screen, wait for Mitch to come up, and Mitch was very smart about how he set his screens to get at Cornette. And that was Brunson when he came back in with 2 points, his first bucket, beats Cornette for a layup. Then another one where he draws, or on the other end of the floor, draws an offensive foul on Cornette, like running into his screen.
attacking on the other end, drives Brown, flip up and over him, 49-27. Bully ball drive on Derek White, 51-28. Everyone on both teams missing bunny. Celtics may be threatening to come back if they can get hot. Nope, he hits a three, 54-30. And then you detailed it, master stroke of, you want to call it foul baiting? Call foul baiting. I thought he was just playing, but he got Jalen Brown out of this game, and that was a dagger, right? That was ending this basketball game. We don't have a ton of time to get into Josh Hart, so I will just say the triple-double king himself had another one, 10 points, 11 assists, 11 rebounds, just another one of those nights where he was special enough to nullify the fact that Boston wasn't guarding him. And it wasn't even because he was hitting threes. Only took three, only made one. Didn't matter. His energy set the tone for minute one. And like the defining play for him, I thought, came in the third quarter where he outruns both Derek White and Peyton Pritchard for a long rebound he has no business getting. The Knicks are up by 39 at this point, or 38, sorry. Outruns both those guys. Like, he's down by 38, finds OG right after OG miss, builds him back up, hits him for a three, 92-51, game over. Last year's magic is back. And I got to believe him and Brunson are dying to have another shot at this Indiana team.
Yeah, for sure. I'll just say, I don't really have anything to add to what you said, because I thought that he played fantastic as well, and you pretty much nailed it. But I'll just say he looked like a total badass with his black eye and the stitches from the other day. So, maybe he could keep up the the Nick Fury aesthetic going into the next game and bring a little fury to Indiana to start the next series. Well, actually not to Indiana, just back into the Garden, because the Knicks have home court advantage for the next round and possibly for the rest of the playoffs.
To all those idiots who said the Knicks should tank the 4 seed, raise your hand right now. I'm raising my hand for those just listening. That was wrong. So let's go. We're in the conference finals. We're at home. The Knicks, a golden opportunity to get to the NBA finals.
Absolutely. And we'll be here with you guys every step of the way. There's still obviously so much more to talk about, but we only have so much time in one episode. So we'll be back possibly tomorrow with a bonus, but definitely by Monday to talk about the upcoming series with the Pacers. I'm sure we'll probably work out some form of a crossover with our buddy Tony East of Locked On Pacers. We haven't talked to him as much since last year. So, that'll be interesting rivalry renewed in the podcast game as well. But yeah, lots more to talk about. We'll be here for you guys and have lots of great episodes. But until then, thank you all for listening, and we will talk to you all soon. Peace out, everybody.